What's up, YouTube? So, a couple weeks ago, I put out a request on Instagram and said, hey, do any of you have questions about jazz? And something that came up a bunch was, how do I play a solo with jazz? How do I play a solo while still sounding jazzy? It was a lot about soloing and how to solo in jazz. So it got me thinking, not just about soloing in the context of jazz, but soloing period. So my one huge piece of advice when you're soloing, whether it's for jazz or anything, is too many people think about soloing based around licks and not around music. And what I mean by that is some of you are like, well, it's drums, you know, I can only play drums. Like, no, that's not true. You can play melodies, you can play rhythmic melodies on the drum set. And I think that if you base your solos around rhythmic, melodic ideas instead of licks, you're gonna sound better. When you have a melody, it's something for the audience to latch on to, so even if you're not playing impressive, fancy, crazy, look at me, I'm so impressive stuff, the audience can still get a picture of a journey you're taking them on, which I think is super important. One of the rhythmic ideas that I like a lot, and it is jazz-based, is all of us know that ending. I forget which ending it is, but ba-boom, boom, boom, ba-da-da-da. We all know that ending. And no, I'm not a trumpet player, so I can't play that exact melody, but I can approximate that rhythm on the drum set. And now that I have that rhythm, some people in the audience might notice it, some people on the bandstand might notice it, but more importantly, it's a rhythmic motif that people can latch onto, so that now when I start improvising around it, I'm not just playing random, not connected, flashy things. I'm building upon something that I established, and I'm growing into the solo that I'm putting out into the world. So, for instance, I'll play the idea and kind of improvise around it. So, as you can see, I started off by directly stating ka-boom, boom, boom, ba-da-boom. Playing for a couple beats, repeating it, and then eventually you can get further and further away, and then you just bring it back to the idea. But it doesn't have to all be as complicated as ska-boom, boom, boom, ba-da-boom, because that's pretty busy, right? It can be as simple as ba-boom, bim. That's it. Ska-boom, bim. simple or as complicated as you want. But I think part of the thing that scares us about this kind of melodic thing is it takes time to build from a simple idea into a complicated idea and then bring it back down. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong in soloing, is we start with too much. You know, the second that we go to solo, we're where do you go from there? Where that's everything. That's as fast, that's as crazy as you can get. So now where do you go for the next 16 bars? Nowhere. You inevitably hit a point where you either screw up or you've played all the fast stuff you know how to play, and you're out of steam, and now you have to spend like 16 bars weirdly kind of toying around until you go back to the groove. That's not what you want. I would say leave space, get a rhythmic kind of motif idea in your head, and grow it. Take your time with it. Don't rush. 4 bars is a lot longer than you think. 8 bars, 16 bars is a lot longer than you think. So I know that's not any concrete exercises or anything, but I think the big takeaway for this is when it comes to soloing in jazz or anything else, take your time, leave space, and work around establishing rhythmic and melodic ideas instead of just breaking out the licks and chops and going for it. Because those licks and chops are only as good as the audience cares about them. And a lot of times when you're just yelling at someone the whole time by playing the fastest stuff in the world, it's not melodic. There's nothing for the audience ear to latch onto. Our brains like melodies. So if there's nothing for our brains to latch onto, we don't really care what's being said, right? So we don't want that. You can still play licks and chops and all that stuff and play fast, impressive stuff, but have it be around a rhythmic, melodic idea, and I think that your solos will succeed a lot more. But that's just my opinion. What do you think? Put it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next lesson.